Good morning. This morning we're going to start by looking at this pencil that I used as my example for the block. You'll notice that it is shiny. It has little ridges along the metal piece that holds it on. It's got shiny green metallic paint. So we are going to add some beads to the pencils and make them, let's say blingy, to match the real example. So I have a bead kit. You saw this a couple weeks ago when we went to the craft store that is closing. And I bought these little rocaille beads. I don't know if you can see those or not. Let me put a few in my hand. They're long tubes. And that is what we are going to add to simulate the ridges along the pencil metal part that holds on the pencil. Then we will add some more of those around here to bling it up a little bit. But before I start sewing on beads, I need to show you this tube and this tube. Give me just a second to rearrange. I'm going to lay a piece of paper down here so it's easier to see. I have used beading needles before. My friend that makes jewelry, Carla, introduced me to beading needles, and they are very fine. Before that, I didn't know beading needles existed. These are all 1/1800ths of an inch beads. They have a very fine eye. They're like a regular needle, but they are very, very thin and flexible. They are great for seed beads, is what it said on Amazon. Because I could not find the package of beading needles that I had. There are 60 of these. They were not very expensive. These ones are a different type of needle, and this one is an assortment of 18, and they come from very long and thin to a much shorter version. There are 6 sizes, 3 of each. Let me show you this needle. This needle is great if you have trouble threading needles, because it actually splits in half, and the whole body, if I can get it to split in half for you, the whole body of the needle becomes the eye. Let me hold that down to the paper. So you can put your thread right in there, and one end is a little pointier than the other. This end is the pointy end. These, I believe, are probably better, and they're very flexible. These are probably better for making jewelry. But they're all that same, the entire body of the needle. And if you push on it just right, it opens right up. That is the eye of the needle. I will show you both today as I sew on those beads. Since I'm using green beads, I'm going to use green thread. It's always a good idea to match your thread with your bead if you can, or use clear thread, so that way if you sew a little past the end, it doesn't show up as much. Let me get set up to start sewing on beads. Okay, I'm going to start by threading both needles. This is the regular beading needle that came 60 needles in this little case. I'm going to use regular thread, so one, I'm not going to double it when I knot it. And I'm going to do the method that I prefer. where you put the thread between your thumb and finger and you lower the needle eye over it. That works. And I will tell you, you know, you might think, oh, well, I don't see as well. Well, I wear reading glasses, and that way works pretty well. I'm going to knot that one and set it aside. And then I'm going to thread one of these that has the big opening that's the whole needle, and set it aside so I can show you how both work. And like I said, these ones come in very long lengths. Notice I didn't have to worry about, and it sort of grabs onto the thread when it's up toward this end, so that hopefully it won't pull out of the eye of the needle. Let me knot that. Then we need to talk about how to pick up a bead. I think we'll start with this, the one that has the opening, the whole body opening. I don't know if that has a special name or not. It's not on that tube, so I'm not sure. So I'm going to do this with beads, rocaille beads, along this band so that both pencils look alike. And here I have the bead kit. The easiest way to pick these up and put them on, well, first of all, I need to bring my needle up through the fabric. Now these ones have a little bit more wiggle, I'm going to call it wiggle and squish to them. And to pick up a needle, or to pick up a bead, I'm just going to aim for a silver end of the bead. Pick one up, and I know that that's about 1/4 of an inch long. So I'm going to put my thread down through about 1/4 of an inch away, so that I can pull it tight and it will lay nice and flat. Now between each bead, and this is for my peace of mind, you can do it however you'd like because it's your project. I am going to run my needle through the fabric and make a little knot. I'm not going to cut it, but that way, if this gets washed, it will not, and one comes off, maybe the other ones will stay. So I come up, I aim for the silver part of the bead, and I put the bead on, and about 1/2 inch above it, I push down through the fabric. And even if I've gone a little over, you can't see the thread because it matches pretty close. And I'm going to tie this one off. Now this needle is more difficult to get through the fabric because it's not as sharp, but it is great for going through those beads. And it is great if you are making jewelry because it can pick up those little beads like nobody's business. I'm going to tie this one off now that I've shown you this one. And like I said, it is great for making jewelry. I'm going to tie this one off, and then I'm going to continue with the other kind of beading needle. See, this one is so flexible that sometimes it's difficult. I wanted to show you some options with beading needles. So I'm going to put that one over out of the way. And now I'm going back to the regular beading needle. This one doesn't have as much bend to it. So I'm going to do the same thing. and I'm only using one layer of thread. I pick up a bead the same way, and I put my needle down, trying to keep it nice and straight. And then I have the luxury of having a nice little, where the seam was pressed that way. So I put a little knot, and I'm going to come up again, a little distance from it. So let me put this on super speed while I work on it, so you can listen to some inspiring music. As you can see, I have all the beads on there, and I added some stitches to define the pencil a little better, the layers of the pencil. So I'm going to turn it sideways. This is it's a silky, it's 100% rayon thread, DMC floss. So it is thicker strands. I'm going to use 2 strands, and I'm going to, it's sort of a buttonhole stitch, but it could be called a single feather, and because it's the slant of the, so I'm going to just do this as a little bonus extra stitch. Come up through, make the slanty part. I'm going to finish off this pencil, make it blingy the rest of the way, and I'll still have some machine satin stitch to do here, but that will be a different day. So let me finish this up, and I will show it to you in a few minutes. So here it is, all blinged up, beads, some stitching, and almost done, except for a little bit more satin stitching, and it will be ready to go. I hope you try sewing on some beads this week. You can use a regular thin needle, or find yourself some nice beading needles and get started. See you on Wednesday for putting the blocks together and talking about assembling them in a throw quilt. Thanks for watching.